My name is Vinny. I'm an alcoholic and an addict.
And I'm Sam. I'm an alcoholic and an addict.
And we are live from King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, because we're a traveling podcast. Sam, take it away, buddy.
So our next guest is a friend of mine that I met about a year ago when I was going through some stuff at home that I've shared about on the show before. And I called my sponsor. He was like, you got to call this guy. This guy just moved back up here from down south. He's going to help you. And I was like, at the time, like, you never want to hear that. You know what I mean? I was kind of like, listen, dude, I don't need your fucking day one AA advice, dude. But at the time, I was kind of like grasping at straws. I was like, really just, and I was like, all right, I'm going to call this guy. And I called him, and boy, was I happy that I did, because I met B.Kelly, who's here with us today. And he really, I would say, was a driving force by my reintegration with Alcoholics Anonymous. I found this group out in Malvern, Pennsylvania of men that kind of all met together at a guy's house, and it was very unconventional. I would say untraditional, not unconventional. It was like untraditional AA, and I like loved it. And I could tell that Brian had just moved back. You had just moved back.
Yeah.
You had just moved back from down south, and this guy had become like such an anchor in sobriety for like this group of like young men that were meeting out in Malvern at this house. And it was just like unbelievable to kind of see his influence and the way that he just, how long you been sober?
12 years.
Yeah, like a guy that's just still so rooted in AA, so plugged into like day one stuff, that far along. And then I ended up learning a lot more about him professionally, but, you know, I'll stop rambling on.
Please.
With that, B.Kelly, how's it going?
Dude, thank you so much for having me.
But, well, it's funny. I've like been to like several meetings with you over time, but I've like never actually heard you speak outside of speaking on like steps or like certain pages in the book, you know? So I'm really interested. I know you're from Delaware County. I know you got like a really interesting story.
A Delco guy.
Delco guy. Tell me about yourself, bro.
Yeah, man. And I hate telling my story, to be honest. But, you know, I'm going to do the best I can. And it's just more, there's two reasons, right? I'm a very insecure person, for starters. So like I told you, a few months back, I was asked to speak at a treatment center that was not a private out of network. So it had a lot of people, it accepted anyone that came through the doors, and it was a double speaker.
Yeah, those are the best.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But
Those
the
are
guy
the
who
best.
spoke before me, like, edge of the seat, was just like, you know, just
Killer
a
story?
huge drug dealer, just gang banging in the street, like,
Oh, my God.
all this stuff. And then I was up.
How
I
do
was
you
like,
follow that?
Like,
Brian shows up. He's like, I'm still sad.
Yeah, I'm from Aston, Pennsylvania, and it gets worse. But yeah, no. So there's that, and then, you know, because of my, you know, like I spent some time, you know, when I was using in like the city and you know, throughout doing things, pretending that I was stronger than I am, pretending that I'm cooler than I am, pretending that I'm smarter than I am. So coming into any sort of like 12-step fellowship and having to take that mask off and be like unapologetically, like, this is the real me. I did it because it helps me stay sober, and I continue to do it, but it's still uncomfortable. There's still that part of me that's like, make yourself sound better than you are.
Yeah,
so
of
people
course.
like you more.
I think we all have a little of that in us, though, to be perfectly honest
That's
with you.
fear, brother.
Yeah.
All day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fear of being judged.
Yeah.
I definitely still have that to a degree.
Yeah. So
I still do, too, after 39 years.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Sometimes shit doesn't leave.
yeah, no. So yeah, but yeah, I grew up in Aston, Pennsylvania. All the excuses that people use for why they're drug addicts and alcoholics, I didn't have. You know, both my parents were married. We were a paycheck
To each other, right?
Yeah, they're married to each other.
Married to each other.
We were like a paycheck to paycheck household, but I feel like everything about like, it comes down to where you're from, right? So like everyone on my street was a paycheck to paycheck household. So I didn't feel like growing up, I didn't feel like, oh, I have less than anyone.
That was kind of normal.
Yeah, like we all were kind of like that. There was Cherry Tree Road in Aston. That's where the kids with Iversons.
Yeah.
Everyone who had Iversons lived in Cherry
Iversons
Tree
were the
Road.
best,
We all had shacks on Bonsall Avenue.
Yeah.
Payless ones. You
We
know.
all went to Payless. Yeah.
But yeah, man, it was fine. And then in high school it was even better because like I went to high school 2005, and like poor people clothes were hip. So I would like go to Burlington Coat Factory, and all like you spend $100, get like 15 outfits, and they were cool now.
Right.
Yeah.
But you know, elementary school, middle school was tough. But yeah, you know, I had a pretty normal childhood, but I did always kind of feel like there was like this like what I think now is like a God-sized hole in my heart.
Right.
And like the first thing that I did to try to fill it was with women, you know, and women play like such a weird like role in my life. I was thinking about not too long ago, but yeah. So I would like fall in love with every girl, romanticize every single girl.
You're
I
a
ever
real
met.
Romeo.
Oh
Yeah,
my God.
yeah.
Every
Like,
girl.
This is the one.
Yeah,
Every
yeah.
time.
Would you date me? YN, maybe. Few
Yeah.
maybes. No yeses.
All that stuff.
You know, that was just like trying to like that would be my solution, and it would. You know, this is going to be like the movie Memento. I'm sorry, my brain jumps all over.
No, that's
but,
okay,
like,
buddy.
You're good.
Yeah, no worries.
You know, that's kind of like how it's always been, but I never got it right. I never. But like from when I was a young kid, like I just wanted a wife, man. Like I just wanted to like get married. Like that was like what I want. I wanted like someone to care about me, and I think it was because like my parents did the absolute best that they could. We were a paycheck to paycheck household. My dad worked shift work at Kimberly-Clark in Chester, so he was putting in 60 hours a week. You can clearly see, and it benefited us. And this is why I don't like it as a pity party. Like my brother and older sister got so much more attention than me and my younger sister, and it made us feel a certain type of way as a kid. Love both my brother and older sister to death. Me and my younger sister are a little bit more self-sufficient than them, right?
Okay.
So it
Do
worked
they
out. in the
realize
end.
that now? Like, have you told them that?
I
Or
mean,
no?
I think I don't
Because
know if they realize.
we're gonna send them this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My little sister realizes it, but yeah. So like, I think it was just I knew that my parents loved me. There was never any doubt. I wasn't treated poorly, but like that, like just needing something to know that there was someone that had my back is like what I chased after. And I just struggled to like keep friends and maintain friends, and it was like it was a weird culture shift because everyone's friends from pre-K to third grade. There's no clique. Like everyone is friends.
Everyone's friends.
Yep.
And then
correct.
in third grade is when it's like, okay, let's start the rankings.
It's crazy that you remember that.
Yeah.
Like I'm a father. Like I have a fourth grader and a second grader. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And like I couldn't have told you anything about my life probably before 10th grade. Like I really couldn't. Like to me,
Did
it
you
was
go
a
to all
blur.
Catholic school though, like I did?
No.
Because we were, first through eighth. There was no middle school.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
1 through 8.
Yeah.
So and we only had one class per grade. So I literally went through first to eighth with the same 40 people.
Ah,
And
yeah.
Probably
like
still-
we're still friends today.
You are.
Believe
yeah.
it or not.
I feel like I can't remember any of that stuff. And the fact that it's kind of funny, like hearing you talk about A, kind of being obsessed with women, and B, like insecurities, right? Like alcoholic
Yeah.
insecurities, like fear, self-centered fear. All that kind of boils in like, but maybe was it like traumatizing? I can't believe you remember that. I don't remember shit. Maybe it's me.
Oh,
Dude,
I remember stuff going back to
I don't remember
kindergarten.
having like an emotional sense of awareness like that. in
Yeah.
fourth grade. Like my boy was just my boy. You know what I mean? I was
Yeah.
just friends with some people. I wasn't friends with other people. I didn't think about it that way. You know?
Oh
what I
yeah.
mean?
No, I mean, and that's like what kept me. I'm not a one white chip wonder, and like that is kind of what kept me from it. Right? Was I didn't realize how traumatizing that was, and then especially when like I've always had a passion for mental health. It makes me like severely downplay it because like I wasn't abused. I wasn't sexually assaulted. Right? So
Right.
like those little traumas, for lack of a better word, that really affect how I move as an adult. I didn't feel comfortable calling them traumas because I felt like it took away from like people that went through some shit that I couldn't
Right.
even fathom going
Right.
through, or had childhoods that I had a pretty good childhood growing up. But yeah, I mean, I remember there's this kid who lived behind me, and this was fourth grade now. There's this kid who lived behind me. He was my only friend. And then I went to fourth grade, and I met this kid, Dan, and me and him were friends. So I was like, yo, let's get the trio together. So like the three of us became friends. And then Dan and Mike had a sleepover one weekend, and then on Monday in school, they were like, "Yeah, we had a sleepover. We had a discussion, and like, we don't want to be your friend anymore."
Oh, good Lord.
Dude.
Brother.
Wow.
So, when I first shared that in a meeting, the whole room laughed, and I was like,
Oh, what are you talking about?
"Yeah," I was
That
like, "Oh, I
crushes
guess
my-
it's." But now it is funny when I think about it because it's like, you laugh because like so fucked up. I guess you know what I mean. It's
Oh,
just
it's
like, what else are you gonna
horrible,
do?
dude.
Like,
Yeah.
you just laugh.
That's
it was
all
just,
you have at that age.
Yeah. So and like, dude,
Was
I
it real,
struggled.
or did they get over it in like a couple hours?
dude, real.
Wrote
Like,
you
off?
Yeah, wrote me off.
Traumatizing.
Wrote me off, yeah. And I just
Actually.
like, and that's where like when I do share my story and like we eventually get to it, like I got a sponsor when I first attempted to get sober, and my fourth step was things that men that gave me street credit, right? This guy burnt me. This guy disrespected me. Like, fuck this guy. But like, I wasn't ready to sit down and tell another man, like, these people said they didn't want to be my friend anymore.
fourth
And I
grade.
stayed, I stayed up all night wondering why I wasn't good enough.
alcoholism.
Yeah.
Like,
Like I never felt like I fit in. And to this day, I mean, I struggle in Alcoholics Anonymous to this day. The hardest part of my program is the two hardest parts is being centered because of my anxiety, and the phone is the heaviest thing I have. Because if I'm not connected, and sometimes my family takes away my connection, it's like, don't call Sam. Sam doesn't even fucking like you. Like, don't call Sam.
don't.
You know what I mean? Like that's
My
what my
God.
brain tells you. Like,
Yeah.
they don't like you, man. They don't like, and it's a battle I go through like constantly because I'm like, my brother was, undiagnosed, but we're fairly certain my brother is on the spectrum in some
Yeah.
way. And he was like super like nerdy. He's like a dorky guy. And I'm like envious of that because you could pinpoint it. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. You
like
can
the
point
nerdy
your finger
kids.
at it.
It's
Yeah.
tangible.
Yeah. But for me, there was just like, I just didn't like you. Like, there's just something about the kid that we just don't like. You know, I
Yeah.
wasn't like into like any like nerdy stuff. Like, I just
No,
felt-
it was out of those two kids, it was one of the kids' idea because
Yeah.
he probably felt threatened by you in one capacity. He was like, listen, the three of us, it's never going to work. We need to edge Brian out because
Yeah.
he's as funny or as...
Kids
and he
are
had that
nasty,
thought
man.
process at fourth grade. This blows my mind, I have to tell you. Like, this absolutely floors me. I'm going to sit on this for the rest of the week because like I said before, I have young kids and I get them off the bus every day and they're like, so-and-so did this today. And I'm in my head, I'm like, you're going to get over that by tomorrow. But maybe not. Dude.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
They may remember that stuff.
They may
You
remember
never
that
know.
shit for the rest of their lives. Maybe the first resentment they ever catch. Like,
yeah.
That to me is crippling.
Kids
Yeah.
can be
Crippling.
really nasty.
Oh.
Yeah. It's tough, and it's like, kind of teaching them that, just understanding like things get better, I
Definitely.
think that's all I want to do. But like where I'm like disappointed in myself and this is something like it's wild, the really shitty things that I've done that I've forgiven myself for to people.
Yeah.
But like the one thing that I always struggle to forgive myself is like come fourth grade or ninth grade, that's when I started getting into drugs and alcohol.
Right.
And the first drug I really started using was cocaine. So like I lost a bunch of weight. Girls that didn't talk to me were now talking. Like literally drugs and alcohol made all my dreams come true. And then like overnight I was one of the popular kids. And dude, by 10th, 11th grade, like I was a fucking bully. Like I was
Oh,
picking
you were
on
straight out, went to the other side.
went to the other side,
Wow.
But like I had that conscience with me as a kid. Like I remember like just not wanting to lose that like sense of friendship that I had, and I would fucking like pick on kids and like, dude, not like they're like pick on kids, some with disabilities, like like the lowest of the low.
That's a trauma response
Yeah.
from the kids in fourth grade,
Yep.
for sure.
And then I would lay in bed that night. Someone using drugs, someone who's 16, I would lay in bed at night and just be like, you piece of shit. Like it didn't take me
Really?
years.
You at
no.
least realized
I
it.
realized it every night when I would lay in bed.
The first drug you ever started using was cocaine.
Well, like so smoking weed, I smoked weed a little bit. I
Yeah.
think I took like I took Valium.
Yeah.
once.
Drank it all or no?
So I drank like wine coolers and shit before I started doing heavy drugs. You know what I mean?
Nice.
Like like the amount of beer, like once I started mixed drinks in high school, I really got into it. The amount of beer it took to get me buzzed, it was almost like when you had to upgrade from like perk 5s and to
Yeah,
like
sure.
15s because like
Right.
the amount of Tylenol you had to ingest in your body to
bad for
feel
your
anything.
stomach. Yeah.
like the amount of bubbles that would have to get in my body. So, So me and this kid, his cousin, was like selling us coke that we were then selling, and we did it all summer. And he was a football player, and like I just never, it blew my mind. We did cocaine every single day of the summer, and one day I called him. I was like, he was like, "Oh no, practice starts." So I'm not doing that anymore.
And he just stopped.
Yeah, I was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "What do you mean you're not doing it anymore?" But like even then, I wasn't like, school really helps you from being a full on like drug addict. I feel like, you know,
to some degree.
To some degree,
definitely.
plus being like making $200 a week, like if you're not selling drugs, and like once I found opiates, it changed everything, because at the very least, even when I would try to sell, it was like I remember getting OC 80s when they were $50 a piece. I remember getting them for 25.
Oh yeah, same.
And
I used to get 5 for 100.
Yeah, it was like there was no business sense. It was literally as soon as I sold one, I did one. Just like that.
Just to keep up with it. Yeah. And that, how long did that last? Like 10 days?
Oh, yeah. Then I was like, all right, I sold one. I did two. I'm still getting it for a discount.
You still owe money.
Yeah. And then, and then it all went downhill. But like, so opiates I did as much as I could. The physical withdrawal wasn't there, but it was like one of those things where like, it was all I could think about. It was my wingman, right? Like it gave me confidence. I got picked on. I was insecure. I'm like not a very outgoing person, but like when you're doing drugs and alcohol, like you have this confidence.
You could do anything.
Yeah, because I don't care. I don't care the outcome, you know? So then like I, you know, played this role with like, with women again, right? Where like now I'm like cool, and now I'm on drugs, and I finally got the thing I wanted, where like I could get the girls, but then like their expectations of me, like it wasn't worth it. You know what I mean? Like it was like, oh, this like, you know, every relationship that ended in high school, or every girl I stopped talking to in high school, was a result of me doing drugs.
Right.
And it didn't help, you know, being like a white kid from the suburbs, and like you're listening every day to like Eminem, and you're like, you know, fuck these bitches.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
dude,
I don't I don't need to listen to them, right? Like, thinking of that mentality. And then high school ended, and I think that's where the real divide happened.
Did you go to college?
No, I went to Delaware County Community College,
which is a great community college.
I got into, so my aunt worked at Pico.
Nice.
She still does, and she got me into the Exelon 6 months. It was a tough thing to get into.
Yeah, for sure.
I worked there for 9 years.
Yeah, so it was a huge thing. My dad was so excited. You know, at the time, he was like, "Did you come out? You're making $60K a year.
Yeah,
like this is great." So I went in. I went in high to take the courses to get approved, and I like needed to retake English and math. The math was specifically because I was so stoned and didn't give a fuck. English I always struggled with. Like, I was like 24 when I realized like there and 2 like I always just, my brain, you know, I never worked too well on that.
Same. I hate writing. Yeah.
Now I'm really good at it. I'm really good. Oh yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Once you get into like semicolons, I still don't know where to appropriately
That's
put
what
those.
ChatGPT is for.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just take the load semicolons into a shotgun and just shoot them.
Figure out where they fit. So I failed. Like I needed to take like the intermediate or the beginner math and English. Within the first week, I found a kid that did oxys. We smoked weed. I dropped out of every class except math because it was easy, and he was in my math class. And that was my experience in college. But everyone else went to college, like they all got better, and then it was just kind of like the people that didn't. That was your crew now, and all you did was get high. And
all the people that
How about the Exelon thing? Where did that go?
I just never showed up again.
Oh, you just didn't.
Never showed up.
I got
again.
you.
Yep.
Just fell apart. What? Just in the school part? It just
never showed up.
Yeah.
It just was not, you know.
And where do your parent? You haven't been in treatment or anything like that at this point, right?
So in high school, I did not understand treatment. I did not understand how it works. So I got set up by a kid. This kid I went to high school with, his grandmom died. She left him a shit ton of money. So then he decided to become a drug dealer. For whatever reason,
great investment.
So he just like started like buying pounds of shit and selling it. So he gets jammed up. They like what my attorney thinks, because I wasn't really like, I occasionally would like sell like oxys or whatever, but like I was plugged into like there was a lot of like drug dealers in Chester that I knew and like stuff like that. So I think what happened was this kid like got his hands on weed. It was the big pill epidemic. They jammed him up. They're like, you need to get us like these pills. And he was like, I don't know anyone, but B.Kelly does. So if I can get you him, he can probably roll over. Whatever the case was, I got set up as a buyer.
Oh, wow.
So
Your boy set you up.
set me up. So it was like ARD. It really was nothing. Like,
Yeah.
you know, luckily my dad's from South Philly. Like I was like, it was this whole thing where my mom was like, I'm not going to be an informant. My mom's like, you better be an informant. Like, blah, blah, blah. And then my dad came downstairs. He's like, he's not saying a fucking word.
Just take your lumps and get out.
Yeah. And like, especially, you know what I mean? Like, dude, I'm not one of those people that like, you know, snitches get stitches, but like I was looking at 6 months probation and community service. Like there was no scenario if they threw the book at me, I wasn't spending a night in jail. There's no scenario where it benefited me or I need to like do anything to put a, you know, scarlet letter on myself. So, but I didn't comprehend how treatment worked because I was still so dependent upon my parents. So like 2 weeks later, my attorney's like, you need to go to rehab. I'm using every single day. I'm doing my intake at this place and I'm like, fuck, dude, I don't want them to tell my parents that I'm still using. So like they would ask me questions like, when was the last time you used? 2 weeks ago when I got arrested. Like, you know what I mean? All these things like, so like, you really, you haven't used in 2 weeks. Like we're just going to set you up with our IOP program.
Nice.
So I went to their IOP program throughout like my senior year. And they were very adamant about my senior week, like me not drinking, and I could not comprehend it. So like that was it. I left. I went to senior week, and I was just so delusional about what it meant to be clean. So I talk about that period of being clean, and I was like, yeah, I went to my senior week clean because I was so addicted to opiates, and I didn't do any opiates that I was cleaned on my senior week. Instead, I drank, I smoked weed, I did cocaine, I took ecstasy 4 out of 7 nights, but like everything else was like I was clean.
Yeah, right. Because you didn't do opiates.
I didn't do those. So. And then I came back and I really hung out with some kids that were like, you know, kind of good kids. And we smoked weed and we drank. And I really did like kind of after that, like stay on a pretty good path. And they went away for a trip one weekend. I linked up with someone and then I was just like back at it.
Yeah.
And then like, you know, you just start stealing from your family. You start doing all that stuff. That's like worse. You know, I would steal from people, but I outside of my family, but I just always knew like, my family didn't press charges. Easy targets.
That's why all families are always first.
Yeah.
You know they're not going to throw you in jail.
They're not going to throw you in jail. Part. They, for whatever reason, I have the keys to all their houses. I know when they're out of town. Like they were just like.
And you would just always.
Yeah. My aunt was dying of cancer. And I remember just breaking into her house and like trying to find her painkillers.
Of course.
And then, dude. So much, nothing was worse. I took every piece of gold out of her house, went to a pawn shop, and then it was all gold plated.
Typical.
It was like,
oh, so embarrassing.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
So then I'm like,
you
now
feel
I got to
so terrible.
Yeah, like I think I just ended up throwing it out.
Why do you feel so much worse when it's gold plated?
Yeah, because you're just like,
it's not worth.
You're like, because no one
you
benefited.
don't get anything for it, and you're also a piece of shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
you
no
feel
one's
so
happy.
much worse when it's
double-edged
gold-plated.
sword. There.
Exactly.
I've been there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I think when I stole, the one thing I wouldn't do is steal from my mom. And once I stole her diamond, you would think that would be a turning point for someone. But like for me, it was like I just set the shit bar so high that everything else I do seems stealing from my dad's wallet.
And they
like,
let you stay? You didn't get kicked out of the house or anything like that?
No.
Good enabling parents.
My mom, my dad wanted me out so bad.
I'm sure.
Yeah. My dad, like, but it was just, you know how drug addicts are. Like, I remember selling the family Wii and like,
you sold the family Wii
for
what, $12?
Yeah, it was like nothing, right?
Yeah.
It was I think $50 at the time. It was pretty good.
That's pretty good.
But there was like we would cut out a hole in the wall instead of hanging a flat screen. You know what I mean? Like you would like cut out the hole in the wall and put the TV in the hole, so it felt like it was mounted into the wall.
Right.
So I was just like, they're like, Brian stole our family Wii. It was like the one thing that my family did together. And I was like, are you kidding me?
The family what?
Wii. You remember that game system?
Nintendo Wii.
I remember.
Where people would throw the remotes and crack their TVs doing the Wii bowling. Yeah.
And like, it was like, this is why I struggle to stay sober. Because no matter what I do, you guys accuse me of getting high. I'm like getting a ladder with a flashlight, checking behind the TV, like adamant that I'm going to find this thing that I sold 4 hours ago. You know
You're
what
like,
I mean?
I don't know where it is.
Yeah,
That's so weird.
You guys are gonna look real stupid when I find this thing, you know, just like one of those. Like, it was just,
Yeah, of course.
and like I didn't realize the toll it took of like, I got sober at 23, and I feel like if I would have stayed out even 7 years, I don't think my parents would be together, you know.
People don't really, I'm really of a firm belief that I was going to ruin my mom's marriage with my
100%.
stepdad. Like, he was not into it. Like, it was literally ruining everything for her.
100%.
But she also had the strength to be like, get out.
Yeah, my mom didn't.
Before I was able to ruin her life, which I'm actually grateful that she did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I kind of benefited from like the deaths of classmates. You know what I mean? This girl, Jocelyn, that was in my school. She went to Kensington, was doing that, and her pimp shot her in the face. Right.
No
so like
way.
Her friend shot her in the face.
her pimp.
Her pimp.
Oh,
yeah, her
yeah.
pimp shot her in the face.
That's
Gotcha.
terrible.
So like there was like tangible deaths of
Yeah.
being on the street that scared my mom to the point that like she tolerated me. And then I just got to the point where I got a DUI. To this day, I can't believe it, but also I drove drunk so many times that I can't complain, but I was not under the influence. I was actually trying to detox when I
And you got a DUI detoxing?
got a DUI detoxing. I had
You
just
must not have been driving all that well.
Oh, you must be
no,
driving
he was
terribly.
on. So I went and I bought Xanax, but
Okay.
I ended up not taking it. So I bought Xanax. Actually, I think I took Xanax the day before, but I bought Xanax from Rick's now wife. So I was up like where
No way.
yeah. So
That's funny.
So she was up like right outside of Philly, and I was driving down Route 1, and the cop came, followed me from all the way back there. Literally followed me for like 15 miles, a state trooper.
Oh, wow.
I got on 352 and he pulled me over for riding too close to the car. Like he was gunning for me.
Yeah, he was just looking for something.
Gunning for me.
Yeah.
So I gave my friend the Xanax. I was like, just take these for me real quick. So he took them for me. The cop like pulled me out of the car, searched, and I drove a 98 Camry at the time.
Yeah.
So he's like searching my car, and then he just comes up. He's like, "When was the last time you shot heroin?" I was like, "Dude, what are you talking about?" And it was like, there's a rip in my ceiling, and he thought that like I had put heroin up there or whatever. And then
Okay.
like it was like my mom's car that I was using, and there was like a cotton ball, I guess, under the thing. Like, but it
Okay.
wasn't. It was a cotton ball that normal people use, so it wasn't brown. Like
Right.
it was like a
Right.
It was like
fucking
for
cotton-
makeup or something like that.
yeah, it was like a fresh
yeah.
cotton ball. So either way, so I got a DUI. They brought me in. I was like, you guys are gonna look really fucking stupid. I don't know if the laws changed.
You guys are gonna look stupid. The Wee's here behind the wall.
Yeah.
Right.
No, but I was confident. I was like, fuck it.
Yeah.
We got an attorney. I was like, this is a layup case. So I did not know this at the time. I don't know if it's still the case, but in Pennsylvania state law, any amounts of marijuana that is found in your system constitutes a DUI.
Really?
Yeah. So this was 2000. This was 2011 because I had just gotten. My parents were at the 10-year anniversary of the plane crash for 9/11. So this was September 11th, 2011, and in California at the time, because my attorney was making a point, like in California at the time, to constitute a DUI, it needed to be 0.8 micrograms of marijuana in your system. I had 0.017.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like the smallest. It was like 4 days since I smoked weed.
Yeah, it's probably nothing.
Yeah, so that I got a DUI, got put on probation, kept failing. Like the drug test thing was working, and then it wasn't. You know, like because I
Yeah.
just kept getting high closer to it. I was doing the whole.
You just stopped caring, yeah.
Yeah. So then, like, he was like, essentially, I knew I was going to jail. So then I went to rehab my second time, and that's when I like clicked something somewhat.
Is that when you went to Florida?
No, I went to a place in Pennsylvania,
Okay.
and they were bringing in meetings in house, and this guy had come in, told his story, and it was the first time anything spoke to me like that. Like I
Yeah.
went into my room, I sobbed, I wrote a letter, multiple page letter to every member of my family, apologizing for anything I've ever done to them and swearing to them that I was done. Like it was, there was so much honesty on that page. It was the most truthful thing I've ever written in my life. I got out of treatment September 10th, 2012, and I was high September 11th, 2012.
Yeah.
So I called my best friend who was down in Florida. He had brought up, me going down there, and like what he said, he went on this whole pitch, but what he said saved my life. He was like, think about it. And then he was like, you know what? Don't think about it. Just do it. Because if you think about it, you'll think yourself out of it.
Exactly.
And that's when I went to South Florida, and it was a location shift, and I wasn't ready to be honest. I was like working the steps. I struggled a little bit like to fit in again because like
It's like
I
a
lost all my
cultural
friends.
thing, yeah.
Yeah. And it was like, you know, like I'm still like, I don't know, dude. I was like into like, I liked all music, so I could like, you know, talk hip hop, like classic hip. I liked the
Same.
lyricist
Yeah.
in like hip hop, but
So
I
do
wasn't
yeah.
a big like rap guy. I was more into like emo shit, right?
Yeah, of
like, I was,
course,
like,
yeah.
into,
Sad
like
boy
pop,
stuff.
yeah, for sure.
yeah.
So like I came down and like 2 Chainz was like the biggest thing, and I didn't know 2 Chainz at the time, right? So like I just didn't fit in again, and I felt that like I hated being in Florida. I wanted to go home.
For how long?
I relapsed after 6 months
Okay, down there.
down there.
Okay,
Me and him, we weren't in a crack house. I need to preface that because I always say we were in a crack house. We weren't in a crack house. We were in a duplex, and the landlord lived in the front of the duplex, and he specifically had sex with homeless crackheads. So they were like,
that's borderline, brother. You're
yeah, like
almost
so they
full
were like,
crack house.
yeah.
Almost.
Yeah, they would just like sleep in our driveway. He would allow them to sleep near us, like in the backyard. They were just always around. He let us do whatever. And my parents had written me a letter about like how proud they were of me.
Oh, they didn't
And-
know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And like how I was an inspiration to everyone in Aston, and people were talking about me, and I was like,
What?
dude, I need to get sober. Like for whatever it was, the guilt got me.
How
and I
long
was
were
like,
you out there for? In
1
Florida?
month.
Oh, okay.
1 month.
30 days. Yeah.
And it was like, it's why I understand the bottom, but I think it's more of an emotional thing, right? Because like I was sober for 6 months, and then I relapsed, and I literally would get high Friday through Sunday and spend all my money, and then like smoke weed and like not use throughout the week. Like my last month of getting high was not a daily occurrence. There was no robberies going on. It was just, I was just sick of it.
You
I was
just
sick
spent
of-
what you made.
Yeah, I just was done, and I drank enough Kool-Aid in AA that they did not allow me to enjoy getting high anymore.
Yeah.
It was one of those.
Head full of AA, belly full of
That's
beer
good.
type deal.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
then I was ready, and I was completely sober, and so at that point I was like, all right, let's hit the ground running. The steps are the most important thing. And what I do have to say is like the halfway house I went to was saved my life. Like,
Dude, same here. And those like don't exist as much anymore.
they don't.
It's funny. Our guest last week runs sober living up in Montgomery County, and it is like, in my opinion, that and one other group in this general area, like the last of the Mohicans of like true chore,
Yeah.
sign out sheet, GI, house meeting.
Yup.
You represent us when you go to a meeting. We know the whole community. If
Right.
you're acting out or doing the wrong thing, it's going to come back to us, and we can't have that
Yeah.
militant recovery housing. It's gone, dude.
I know. And
It's gone, dude. It's not around anymore.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking.
It's so heartbreaking because like for me, I'm a follower. I'm an insecure follower, right?
For sure.
So the fact that I was in a halfway house, that the way it was structured, I was making like $150 a week, and rent was $175. So
Oh,
after
yeah.
3 months, I was behind so much on rent.
Yeah, I've been there too. Yeah.
And they were kicking out dudes whose parents were paying their rent, but they didn't have a sponsor after 2 months, but
Yeah.
letting me stay. And like for me, that being in that building, that community was like, as a follower, was like the community was working the steps. And like they would be like, that dude's a bum. That dude's not working. He's not going to meetings.
Guy's a
He's a bum.
two-stepper, dude. Yeah,
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
I was not the kind of guy that was going to go to a flop house. And like I have plenty of friends that did it. Like they were in a flop house, and they're like, I was trying to save my own ass, and I got a sponsor. Like that wasn't me. If I wasn't surrounded by guys that it was the cool thing to do was to go to meetings, get a sponsor, and work the steps, I would not be. I don't know if I would have made it.
It's such a blessing, isn't it?
Yeah.
That like you were for being like a follower or like someone, like, because I was the same way. Like I would go to AA and I would just like nod and be like, yeah, no, totally, I believe in God. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
had like no concept of what the depth of the words on the wall really meant. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yeah.
But I had to do what you were doing better than you were doing it.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm super competitive. So like to me, being the most spiritual or being the most engaged in the first 164 pages of the book was the most important thing to me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because I had to do it better than you. Not that I had to do it for myself, you know? And that's kind of like where that comes from, you know?
Yeah. And it really helped me construct my view of God. Like,
For sure.
early recovery really showed me where God was. Cause like I had you go through phases in AA when you've been sober a little bit. And
Absolutely. We talk about this all the time.
Yeah. So when I was in Jupiter, like I really dug like the 35 plus year sober guys. And I still dig them now, but
They're my favorite now.
But I would sit in those meetings and they would just talk about old AA, and they were just like I wasn't allowed to share my first year of sobriety. Like when I came in, my sponsor told me to just sit down and shut the fuck up, blah, 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 all this stuff. And it was like, if that was said to me by my sponsor, I would have never walked in this room again, right? And there's people that are listening to this right now that's like, fuck you, that's the way AA goes. And that's where I believe in God, because it's so funny how the guys that need that, they find those guys.
Yeah.
And my sponsor, I just picked a guy who was through the steps. That's it. I just picked a guy who was through the steps. But he was the exact sponsor I needed that was a little bit more love and tolerance. You know what I mean? Like, knew maybe he's not like that to everyone, but like he saw like, dude, I wasn't an arrogant kid. I was a broken kid. You didn't need to tell me I was a fucking idiot. I knew I was an idiot.
Yeah.
And like, I just noticed that like there's so many different types of ways to do AA, and all these different ways people are staying sober for a long period of time, a lot of them for life. And it's because like God sorted it out, I feel like.
They put him in the right place.
Put him in front of the
time.
right people. Yeah.
That's how I felt the exact same way.
Yep.
Yeah. Like I'm so blessed that I was able to walk in AA in Chester County nonetheless. Like when I was able to, and to be surrounded by guys like John, you know, I'll say his name, and just a good community of dudes that just did it the right way. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's funny, and I didn't really want to talk about this. I've known B.Kelly, Brian here for like a year. A little over a year since he moved up here. And like the more I get to know him, the more I find out that we like have mutual friends from our past.
Yeah.
Which is like so fun when you have a friend that like you could have met even like 5 to 6 years prior, just by chance that you met them later. And we have a mutual friend who's no longer with us. So my friend Claire.
Yeah, she was
who
the best.
was down in Florida with you. And like I think about Claire, when I got my first treatment job, I got a job answering phones for a company that at the time was very small, that is now very large. And I didn't have a car, dude. I didn't have a driver's license. I didn't have anything. Like I was like a year sober. I was so ready to not work in the food service industry, and I just took a job at a new company answering phones because it sounded good. And I would go to this meeting in Delco, actually, Monday night in media, and Claire would be there, and she'd just be so stoked to see me. Like, she was just the nicest girl ever. And I told her I got this job. She's like, "Oh my God, I got the same job." I was like, "No way." So then I had found my way to get to this job every day. And Claire, dude, I'll never forget. She was the sweetest, dude. She was the best, Vinny. You would have loved her. She was hilarious. She would pick me up in this Honda Element. And it was an orange, dude. It was an orange Honda Element.
Sweet,
bro. The passenger side door was a different color orange than the rest of the car.
That's great.
She had to get a replacement.
That's awesome.
Door. So she had this and we would just bop around. One thing about Claire, she would always tell you that she had better taste in music than you. That was her thing. She's like, "I have the best taste in music. You don't." And we would just listen to like Fleetwood Mac in our 12-minute commute to a call center in King of Prussia. And dude, when I see you, I instantly like think of her, because I feel like the time between I had 0 days to 3 years sober was the most influential time in my life.
100%.
Those were some of the best years of my life. And even though Claire and I were honestly only really friends for like probably 10% to 20% of my sobriety, she's still like such a big part of it. You know what I mean?
She was huge. And just that whole life, like for me, I'm glad you brought that up. Like I got sober in South Florida, and like, I don't know, maybe I'm crazy for this, but when I think about Delray Beach 2013, like the same way old guys I know talk about like New York's punk scene in the 80s. Like you just had to be there. It was like there was nothing like getting sober in Delray Beach in 2013 when young alcoholics ran the town.
100%.
You know?
So many of my friends are from that era.
Yeah.
So many of my closest friends today got sober in that area at that time.
Yep. And we were just figuring it out. And like, you can't, like, it was this, like, Delray was like a city, right? So like, you can go to Westchester And I guess it's kind of common, you know, to like see some people, but it was a guaranteed. You go to a restaurant on Atlantic Avenue in Delray, you sit outside for an hour, you run into 7 alcoholics that you know on a personal level. Like that's how it was back then.
And you all just hang out. Yeah.
It was, and there was like a fire under our ass because like treatment centers were there, but not as like prevalent. Like when I stayed sober a long time because I knew if I did, I was either going to the Budget Inn or the beach.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I'm going to go to a detox, get fucking 3 meals and, you know.
It's not like it is now.
Yeah, there was like there was a fear behind it that, you know, isn't there now, which is a good thing. Like I'm not anti that, but I was beneficial for me that I couldn't I didn't have much options if I slipped up.
But what's amazing now is I think about the way that we got sober, like this traditional, you know, that kind of falls back into what we were talking about with sober living, right? Like sober living culture was just like so powerful at a certain point in time, especially if it was good. But now, you know, both working in the industry, like, and we don't see that. But what I see a lot more is like, I actually don't even really feel like I see real junkies anymore. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's not like, because we're millennials, right? You and me are both millennials. Like we were, us and most of our friends were wiped out by pharma. Like we just were. You know what I mean? Like I was addicted to opiates, found alcohol later in life, but like that's what started this for me, right? It was like M boxes. But nowadays, like I feel like there's just a lot more going on to your standard client or patient. Like it's just different, dude.
Seems like there's a lot of mental health issues.
That's what I'm saying.
Driving it.
Yeah.
It's just a lot different. It's just like not standard. You don't see a lot of 21-year-old kids that like didn't take off at college and then get addicted to this and then wind up down in Kensington and then get on. You know what I mean? It's just not like there's no typical story anymore, dude. Honestly, the typical story that I see now is like, yeah, I was locked in my house for 2 years because of COVID-19 and like now I can't breathe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like you have great deal of experience with that. So like please enlighten me on like what you think the current landscape of behavioral health in America is right now.
Yeah. And I think it's cool. I think that we don't talk about, like, my dad just wasn't allowed to be depressed, right? So
For
I think
sure.
that we're coming off that generation of, like, my dad had a kid and he had to provide for his family, and the thought of depression wasn't a thing, right?
You had to get up and go to work every single day.
Yeah.
You know, snap out of it kind of thing.
100%. Like, I struggled with depression from a very young age, and my dad means so well. He means so well, but I was probably about 12 or 13. He didn't understand mental health.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't happy. Like I was just so sad. And I was like, Dad, like, I think I'm depressed. Like, I think I'm depressed. And he was
You said
like,
that when you were 12?
When I was 12.
Yeah.
And his response was, all right, after dinner, we're going to get in the car. We're going to drive around Chester. When we come back after seeing how they're living, I want you to explain to me how depressed you are.
That's such a like great response.
Yeah, from like a kid born in South Philly. You know what I mean? Like
that's such a good response.
That's like what he thought.
I'll
was
show
like,
you what depressed is. Yeah, dude.
Because
yeah.
that was it. Was depression was like you're not grateful, and it's deeper than that, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's a chemical imbalance.
It's tough explaining it to certain generations.
Yeah,
because they just, you know, their attitude was snap out of it.
Yeah,
you know, get back on your horse and go to work.
Mm-hmm. And I would say, like, even with like the thing with like there's not really real junkies, I see it, but I also think that I know for me, I'm very blessed as a result of this program, right?
Yeah.
So like I work in a field that takes private insurance.
Correct.
I live in an area that's a little bit more affluent than when I grew up, where it's
Definitely.
like I bet you if I went to Roxborough to a meeting in a church basement, I'd see a decent amount of junkies. If I went to, you know, one of those church meetings in Kensington, I would see. But in Westchester, all of them are going to that halfway house that we all know.
Yeah,
you know, they're
absolutely.
all affluent kid. Like, so it's a little bit less. But like, I think the mental health is still running rampant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you're right. I didn't mean to say there's not junkies anymore.
Yeah.
I think that like the opioid epidemic has
It's
come
kind of
to a conclusion a little
Well,
bit.
you know what it is? Like we're shedding more light on reasons for addiction. So, you know, in my job, I hear it all the time. Like, you know, and I ask people, okay, like what's going on, whatever. And they tell me, and then we get this whole, oh, you know, but I was diagnosed with PTSD. depression, anxiety, this and that, and whatever. So we hear it's more prevalent now because we talk about it more.
Yeah,
it was always there. I know why I got into addiction, and it was because of depression, anxiety, things like that. It's the same thing. It's just that we talk about it more, you know.
Where it's just being acknowledged.
It's being acknowledged across the board.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Because addiction is caused by something. You don't wake up and say on Tuesday, oh, you know what? I think I'm just going to buy my first crack rock today.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen that way. Something makes you start somewhere, and then, you know, that gives you that good feeling, and then you go and you get kind of used to that, and you need something a little stronger, and so on and so on and so on, and all of a sudden you're in Kensington.
Yep.
You know, years later.
Yeah,
But you
it
start
builds up.
somewhere, but there's a reason for starting somewhere, and we talked about a bunch of your reasons early in the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't just get into it. Hell, you're telling your father at 12 you
Yeah.
were depressed. Well, that's a reason, man.
Yeah.
For doing what you did.
And I think like they say, like everyone says that weed is the gateway drug, right? It's like everyone's
Yeah.
first drug.
You know what the gateway drug is? Your mental health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what the gateway. I won't call it a gateway drug. I'll just call it a gateway.
A gateway. Yeah, for sure.
You know, smoking cigarettes. Oh, that's a gateway. Smoking weed. That's a gateway. Mental health is the gateway
Yeah, it's the main. It's
to
definitely
drive you to do certain things. In my opinion,
No,
my
that's-
humble opinion.
No,
That's a
100%.
great take, man. That makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, and I think what makes like the biggest uptick right now in mental health, this is some doctors you'll see align with this. This isn't really like the CDC's medical opinion,
Right.
but people don't realize that THC is a psychotic and CBD is an antipsychotic. So essentially what we were doing with our minds was speedballing when we were growing up smoking weed.
Yeah.
Now, like weed is being grown in a lab, and the reason it's so good is we're significantly dropping the amount of CBD in marijuana and significantly raising the THC in marijuana, which is why
Really?
It's
I'm
so
getting more
strong.
and more kids in psychosis.
That's
than-
why that is.
Yep.
Dude, I have been dealing with that for years. A kid hits a vape pen of weed at home, kid's all of a sudden insane. And I sit back and I'm like, I did the same thing, but I
Yeah.
didn't go insane. You
No,
know what I
because
mean?
it's different. It's exactly what he said. And we're actually seeing a lot where when they come off of this, like they're in sort of like a psychological withdrawal because like they have these incredible nightmares for a month, 2 months, 3 months after they stop because of all that, you know, how strong it is.
Yeah.
You know, and it is like the psychotic part of that. You have to come off of that, and it's so strong that it literally lingers in you for could be a month, 2, whatever.
Yep. And it's like the same way kids would go to, this big treatment center down in Florida and they get the term alcoholic slapped on them when they were really just like assholes that their parents got rid of.
Correct, yeah.
We're seeing it more where like kids go in like drug induced psychosis and from like Delta 8 use, Delta 9 use.
Yeah.
And their second time in a hospital setting, they're being prescribed Depakote or lithium. And
Right.
they're
Oh,
now
yeah.
on this when it's like, like get them off the weed a little bit. Like let them see,
And then we'll give it a couple months. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even that's like the same with meth use. Like I see that a lot too. Like guys, they're like, dude, this guy's high psych. I'm like, no, I think he's just been smoking crystal meth for 2 years, you know?
Yeah, and that's why like the program I have is like we do take co-occurring, but we also it's hard to approve because is this guy bipolar or does he need to work the steps and he's just done like meth, because like for me with mental health issues working in the mental health field, I'm a big proponent of mental health and I'm a big proponent of medication, but I'm not a big proponent of shortcuts. And that's why like whenever my sponsees or anyone's asking me about like doing med, like for me, like before I even think about a med change, it's like, how often am I praying? How plugged in am I into my program? Like, is there things I can help, especially with depression and feeling
It's like,
empty?
have I done everything I can do before that?
For sure.
Yeah.
Before just being like, come on, bring on the propanolol.
Yeah.
I want to feel mellow for a little bit. I
Yeah.
just want to see. And like, I'm not saying that AA is the cure, but it's a good baseline for me. If I'm fully working my program and I'm still very anxious or I'm still very depressed, now it's time to seek.
Now we can
professional help.
address it
Yeah,
chemically.
now it's time to see a doctor.
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome. Good for you.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like, in AA, I mean, I'm not saying I believe in this, but like hardcore people in AA will be like, you can't take any meds, you know?
Yeah.
Like, which is
I've never run
insane.
into people like that.
Yeah.
I got to be honest with you. I have run into people like that in NA.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't take an antidepressant. You're not sober. Like, what?
Yeah.
Are you
I've
kidding
heard
me?
that. Yeah, I've heard it in AA.
AA, I haven't really heard
I have too.
much of it, though.
Yeah.
I mean, but especially NA. Like, you can't take anything to some of those hardcore guys. And you're not taking something that's going to get you high. You're taking something that's going to level out those chemicals in your brain a little bit, you know? That's different.
Which I feel like we all need to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just take advantage of like, and I don't mean this from like from an ego standpoint, because I think that if you want, I was the best sponsor and the best member of AA when I was 2-3 years sober.
Without a doubt.
Time doesn't mean anything, but I use a decade to my advantage to be like, well, I'm closer to being an old timer now. So like, I'm a big proponent. Like, I don't give a fuck. I will share, and this is all because of a sponsee that I do want to mention. But like, I talk about mental health in AA meetings, and like you just said, it's a gateway, and people are like, this is an outside issue. I had a sponsee, very very severely bipolar. He would struggle with like his meds and stuff, and he would go to meetings and not be afraid to talk about the shit that we do to get drugs. But he was so afraid to say he was bipolar. He was so afraid to talk about his bipolar disorder in meetings that it was like, if he wasn't talking to me, he was like holding this inside. And his dad found him hanging in his closet.
Oh, dude, I'm so sorry.
And
that's a shame. Mental health is a bigger stigma than saying you're an alcoholic.
Dude, God bless you. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks, and it's a shame, and I wish I mean, I carry guilt with that kid a ton because I had moved. He was my sponsee. I had moved, and he knew that I understood mental health, and then he relapsed, and I was in Georgia at the time, and he was in South Florida, and I was like, dude, I love you so much. I want to be your support, but like, you just got high. I feel like you should get a new sponsor that can like sit with you face to face.
Yeah, really put the work in with
really
you.
put the work in.
Start
and,
fresh.
You know,
that makes sense.
3 months later,
take
he passed
the blame
away.
for that.
No, but
I
it feels
know.
like you're doing the best thing for him.
I know,
without
it's
a doubt.
It's yeah.
You made the right decision.
It was his time.
Yeah,
and that's what happened. And you know, you just can't take the blame for that.
Yeah, I know. We like to think that we're that important that we can fucking control someone's outcome.
We hold any sort of weight. Yeah.
But you know, one thing that you said earlier kind of stuck out, and because I had a really old time sponsor. Mm-hmm. I got clean in 1986, right? And I had an old Italian guy from South Philly. That was my original sponsor. And he said, I don't care. Get your hand up in every meeting. Mm-hmm. Don't sit there and shut up. Because here's the thing. As alcoholics, as addicts, whatever, when you have something on your mind, you have to be able to get it out at a meeting. So my sponsor said, my original one said, get your hand, when nobody's talking, that's your turn.
Mm-hmm. Always.
Okay. I would get my hand up at every meeting, and even if I had nothing to say, hey, my name's Vinny, I'm an alcoholic, great to be here, thanks for all your help. And then that's it. And I never figured out, well, it took me a while to figure out why he was doing that. And the reason he was doing that was if you really have some real issues, you won't be afraid to get your hand up. Mm-hmm. You're sitting there for a year not talking, you know, just shut up and listen kind of a mentality. If you do have some real issues, you're not going to get your hand up because you're not used to getting your hand up. Mm-hmm. It's foreign to you. I'm nervous. Whereas if you practiced getting your hand up and speaking at meetings, even when you had nothing to say, when you do have something to say, it'll be much easier.
Yeah. It's like practice. Practice makes perfect.
It's practice.
Yeah, dude.
When you do have issues, it'll be easier to talk about.
That hand will shoot right up.
And I've been blessed that this hasn't been an issue because that's kind of the AA I've been doing lately. You know, is like the meetings I go to is all about like what's going on, and like in Atlanta it was pretty bad, and in Jupiter it wasn't as bad, but that was the thing where like, and I would openly share it in meetings because if I said it this way, less people came up to me after the meeting, which is like if I'm speaking to 40 people and I go on a 5-minute tangent about depression and 39 people just get so angry that I derailed the meeting and one person doesn't kill themselves that night.
Right.
Job well done.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? But like the real AA, like that's the shit that I'm attracted to. That's the stuff I go to, you know, like I get the history. It's like important. Like, but like I've never once called Sam and been like, hey Sam, what color was Dr. Bob's shirt when he
Yeah.
sat with Bill, or like what did he prefer? I would say, hey Sam, I just walked through the front door and my pregnant wife is yelling at me for no
Yeah.
reason. How do I get through this without
How do
sleeping
I
on the
not
couch?
kill her?
Like that's what I want to know.
Yeah, dude.
That's
Yeah.
the people I want to talk to.
Same. I'm the same.
My
exact
advice
way.
is click on the TV and
Yeah.
forget about it.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Of course, to everybody listening, I'm
Yeah.
just kidding. Yes, you should contact a sober friend to kind of get you through it. It helps.
Yeah.
No, that's like my thing. Like my thing is always that like we're like not statistically none of us are supposed to be here right now.
100%.
And most of the people I walk around with live very successful lives. Like successful, like rich in love. You know what I mean? Like I have a family of 5, dude. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's me, my wife, and my 3 daughters. Like that's crazy, dude.
It's insane to think about that 10 years later.
Yeah.
Like,
Bro.
I can't believe where I'm at.
Me and Samantha and Sophia, my oldest, like we were in a 1-bedroom apartment and I relapsed and like we got evicted from that apartment. Like we're, you know, our life is so much different now. And I'm not saying it's because of me and my sobriety. Like God's just showed up and like gave us the opportunity to like be a family. You know what I mean? The thing is like I have imposter syndrome with that. So I have to call men who have been through it to be like, am I doing this right? You know what I mean? Like that's my biggest thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Well,
In
we
life.
have people that we can reach out to,
I
which
call
is
Vin.
really
I
great.
call Vin all the time. I'm like, Vin, let me run this by you. You know,
Dude,
every
because
step of the way.
we lose gratitude, man.
Yeah.
It's like truth. Like the fact that my wife, like I've never once met anyone. I know there's more than looks, but I never once met anyone that saw my wife and was like, "Oh yeah, I can see why she's with you." Right? They're like, "How the hell do you pull that?" Right? Like the fact that this woman had sex with me and was like, "I would do that again."
Yeah.
Like I would do that again, and honestly,
Yeah.
I would only do it with you for the rest of my life. Is bonkers, right?
Yeah.
And like she loves me unapologetically, and like
Yeah.
she fought for me. Like I'm happy that I'm at this point where like I can give her a comfortable life, but like 3 years ago, she paid my car payment
Wow.
because I was bringing in $1,800 a month, just scrapping whatever side work I can get in the middle of a pandemic because I just got laid off.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Of course.
Like that's the shit that like I don't deserve. You
So
know?
But you do.
Did she know you when you were out there abusing
No.
drugs and alcohol? Okay.
No, we both met sober. She's got a year longer.
Oh, so
than
she's
I
in
do.
the
Yeah.
program too. Okay.
Yeah, so we're both sober. But yeah, man, she like, and it was so funny because like, I just struggled with women for a long time, and like when I was getting high, like there's so many girls that like have been on my fourth, like the ones that got away, right? And it was because they were there to save me. They were like, I fell in love with these like sweet, pure, innocent girls because I thought that they could get me out of like who I
Right.
was. And then I got sober and I got a girlfriend and like I used her because that's what we were doing is like, this is my tool. Like this is the person. And then when I didn't feel like I was getting enough from her, I started cheating on her. I started doing all that stuff in AA and like learning how to not use a woman for happiness, but share happiness with a woman was the best lesson I ever learned. And it like one of the things that I always like, I was not like a lady killer. And I think it's funny and it's like, stay true. It's like, dude, I'm a serial dater and I'm just like a really like, I'm not going to say I'm a nice guy because I cheated on my girlfriend. Like I could be I'm a selfish person, but like I do like love to like let you know I'm not someone that plays it cool. I like wear my heart on my sleeve when it
Yeah.
comes to women. I've always been that way. And girls have like given me advice all the time. It's like, dude, women don't fucking like that. You need to be like,
Be a friggin' man.
yeah, be a man.
100%.
Don't be like, just act like you act like you let them know you like them too quickly. Like, don't do that. And like, I tried and it was so not me.
Yeah. You tried
So
to
then-
act cool like you didn't care.
Yeah, and then like I just was like sick of it, and like I'd go through relationships, and they would end it pretty quickly because I was just like, I love you, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Second date.
yeah. And then
I love you.
I met my wife, and like, dude, we click and whatever, and like a few years, I was like, dude, why do you love me? Like, why do you love me? And she was like, because you just treated me with love from the day I met you. You didn't play any games, you didn't do anything, like you just like told me how you felt, and like. I just stayed true, you know what I mean? And I found my person.
That
know?
resonated with her.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know?
dude. The puzzle
And it was-
pieces fit.
Yeah, and it
Yeah,
was like
dude.
years of like trying to find. And it was like,
Yeah.
and I was just trying, dude. It was like, that shit's so lame, dude. That whole like, and I get it, like, but like the thing is, like, and that's why I like try to tell these women where it's like, no, these dudes that like left you on red for like 3 days. They're not playing it cool. They don't give a fuck. Like, like if we give a fuck, we're like sitting there like wondering, like, or we're trying really hard. It's not fun. I'm anxious the whole time. Like, I'm going to text you. I'm not, listen, I'm not a psycho. I'm a 2-text max, and that's rare. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I rarely even send the second one. But if you don't respond to my second text, that we're never contacted. There's girls in my phone I could look at from 2012 that I sent a second text to.
It's crazy you remember all this.
Have been no follow-up since.
Yeah.
It's a hard rule I live by.
I'm sure. Good for you.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, like, you've been sober, clean and sober, how long?
12 years.
About 12 years. Cool. So wrapping the podcast up, tell me what you're doing now with the business that you owned. What's it called?
New Mind Wellness.
New Mind Wellness.
Yes.
So we're in King of Prussia, New Mind Wellness. What do you do here at New Mind Wellness?
So we are here as a mental health provider. And like for people that just struggle with mental health, we do have some people that are co-occurring. I would say for the most part, we do tend to treat people that have multiple years sober and then seek this help, although we do have some that have frequent use, but like our goal is to be a mental health provider.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I worked at a facility in Florida, and we were known, this was like 2013. Everyone was like, oh, he works for the best mental health program in South Florida, right? Oh my God, you work blank. That is the best mental health program in South Florida because it was the first mental health program like in that industry. So I climbed the ladder. I got a little bit more involved in the day-to-day, and I got to like sit in on our mental health groups, and it was like schizophrenics sitting in relapse prevention groups. There was no what was to the treatment industry, the best mental health program was we babysat people who had no history of substance use, and we needed to find a way to get them a cert, and that's what we did. And I was like, there's just got to be something better for them.
That's when a treatment center takes advantage of your insurance.
100%.
And that's what gives our industry a bad name. Mm-hmm. So you're up here doing the good work, real work with mental health clients that need mental health treatment.
Yeah, and it's weirdly like an amends in a certain way because I climbed the ladder in admissions, right? So by the time I found out, I had placed 300 kids into this program.
Sure.
Telling their parents like, dude, this is the real deal. This is mental health treatment, and it just wasn't, and it was unfortunate. And then I helped me and a guy that worked there. He had left to open up a mental health program in Atlanta, and I got to work under him, and he taught me everything I know. And he just taught me how to properly do this, and I stand by this. I will let everyone know my secret because it's no secret. I bring on staff, and I treat them with respect, and I let them, I help guide them the best I can, but I treat every staff member here with a certain amount of dignity. And I am an out-of-network private treatment center. My job, I chose this path because I liked the financials that I could get from it. Mm-hmm. There are certain things that I will always put over financials, and that's the most important thing.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to sit here and pretend that because I could open a nonprofit tomorrow and make fucking $55K. I could do that tomorrow and live off that salary or whatever. That's not why I'm here. But as long as we're always putting client care first and staff care first is the most important thing. Because I've consulted for people. I've given them my whole program. This is what you need to do. This is the type of groups you need to run. And they treat their staff like shit, and they wonder why they don't have a good program. Right. It's because when your staff is unhappy, it affects the clients and it affects the whole program.
Well, I also think with mental health, you have to really treat the person. I feel like with SUD, you treat the group. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
with mental health, sometimes,
with mental health, you have to treat the person. So you have to create a product that can really cater to that. You know what I mean?
100%. And then when it comes to your staff, my therapist, my clinical director, everyone that works here, they make the same salary as someone in a substance abuse program.
Yeah. And they do 3 times the work.
Exactly. So why are they doing this?
It's way more in depth.
You know what I mean?
Well, they're doing it because it's in their heart.
It's in their heart, but they also need to be treated like.
And there's a real, I hate to say this because it's so cliche to say it, there's such a need for it,
Yeah.
There's a gigantic need.
There's such a need
for mental health.
It's huge,
issues.
dude.
Yeah.
You guys are doing great work. I mean, I know firsthand what you do here is way more pushing the boundaries of what some of your competitors do. I think because you do treat the person, and having known you through this process and being able to get to know you and the way that you work on top of getting to know you personally has been like nothing short of a pleasure.
Yeah, man. I'm so glad you're one of the first friends I got down here, up here, and I'm very happy to know you too.
And I'm so happy you came on the podcast. This was incredible.
We had a great time. Really appreciate you coming on, telling your story. You got a great story, and it's a great comeback story. You know what I mean? Like I like to, people to be on our podcast and that were really down there, and now they're, they really turned it around. It's inspirational, and we appreciate that definitely. But you've been listening to the Tenacious Recovery Podcast. My name is Vinny. I'm an alcoholic and an addict.
I'm Sam. I'm an alcoholic and an addict.
I'm Brian. I'm an alcoholic and an addict.
Yeah. My man, and Brian, it was so great having you. God willing, we'll see you next time.